Hello everybody, welcome back to JJ's PC Builds. It's JJ right here with you. Today we're going to recap on the Intel Arc A770. Just a little recap because I want to get a couple things out that was brought to my attention. So do stay tuned for it, and we're going to do this B-roll for you. So here we go. Today we're going to get started with the Intel Arc A770. The recap's going to be that it was told to me that their GPUs will not work with every system. Okay, the first thing that was told to me was that you have to have rebar in your computer in order for it to work. It'll work, but it won't work unless you have rebar in your computer. Now, if you don't know what I mean by rebar, it's a resizable bar that's connected into your BIOS. If your motherboard doesn't have resizable bar in your computer, which is SAM, then this might not really work for you. But if you do, it's usually, I think I capped on this earlier in the last couple of videos, that if you got a B450 motherboard, I know Asus does this, B450 or higher, you should have resizable bar in your computer. Okay, now, in just a normal kind of thing, we're going to throw this up here for you. See, this gives you the scales of the A380, the A580, the A750, and both A770s. So you got two types. You get the 8GB and the 16GB. Now, if you're deciding to go with Intel, okay, you're best off to go all the way to the top and get the top one, the top tier. Now, as far as the limited editions, everybody is being skeptical about the limited editions because Intel's not putting out there that, there's such thing. But time will tell. We'll have to wait and see. The cards are just coming out new because basically when you put something new out, everybody becomes scattered. So, but let's look at the A770 and the 16GB and see what it's all about. Okay, XE cores are 32. You got 32 XE cores. You got 32 ray tracing units. It's got 21 megahertz graphics clock. It's got GDDR6 memory at 16 gigabytes. Memory bandwidth, it's got 560 gigabits. I know I did that wrong in the last couple videos, that I got those two mixed. One's gigabytes and one's gigabits, so don't quote me on it. But anyway, and the TDP is 225 watts. Okay, now for that kind of card, for what it is, 225 watts, that's not bad. That's more or less like if you want to equal it to a card, it'll probably be almost equal to an RT 6600 made by AMD, if you want to equal it out. So the 6600 and this, their highest card here, should be about equal competitors, if you're wondering what that's about. But if you're not, then it's... this card could be for you or it couldn't be for you. I've seen some benchmarks on it, and it's appealing but not appealing at this point. But paired up, I bet, with Intel DDR5, which would be the 13th gen, it could be a monster of a card. Or you can pair this up with Ryzen, or you can pair it up with, pretty much those are the two main competitors when it comes to CPUs. But as far as how can I say this? As far as pairing it up with anything else, I bet you that I could pair it up with something that's... I'm gonna try this as soon as I get the cards. I am gonna try to pair it up with an Intel 3rd gen and work my way up to see if it's gonna work or not. 3rd gen, it doesn't have resizable bar, but it'll be worth to the hoot to see if it would work with the 3rd gen. Something tells me an i5 or an i7 processor, it might. With Gen 3. Because Gen 3, is kind of like an in the middle kind of thing. Like your DDR3s, and then you got DDR4, and then now you got DDR5. See, it kind of plays in hands. There's a lot of things I've done with the Gen 3 system, which I still have. I have a Gen 3 and a Gen 4. Not Gen 5 yet, but we're getting there. But when it comes to the Gen 4 and the Gen 3, what people overlook is this. Gen 3, when you bought a pre-built system, out of the box is already set at turbo mode. Okay, turbo mode, basically it hits it right up to the peak max that the computer will go at. Okay, now when you overclock, there's a little bit different to where you can overclock a chip above and beyond, just a little bit, but not much, above and beyond what its capabilities are able to do, or it'll basically crash on you if you go and push it to its higher limits than what it's supposed to be. Some CPUs will allow you to clock over that amount, but it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish with it. But here we're talking about the A770 and what it's capable of doing. Now, the question to me is it able to clock higher than 2100 megahertz? That's the question, and I'm going to put a comparison to this because it can be a comparison. That might be 8 gigabytes, yes. But also, too, I proved something. It doesn't matter how many gigabytes of Vcache RAM you have. Okay? Once you're over 1 gigabyte in Vcache, you got a whole big spectrum. Okay? I've had cards that have 1 gigabyte of Vcache. Okay? They run just as good, or even better with gaming, than they would the top tiers. Only difference is how many cores. Okay, you could have a 1 gigabyte Vcache card, but you could have 17, 18, 1900 cores. You know, and if you got 1 gigabyte with 1900 cores, 2000 cores, 21 or 2200 cores, then what do you think is going to run better? If you got a 1900 core at 8 gigabytes, or you got a 1 gigabyte at 2300 cores? Do the math. It's how many cores you got. Okay, because 9 out of 10 chances what happens is, and I've seen this with 4 gigabyte cards, 2 gigabyte and 1 gigabyte cards, to where they would only use up about maybe 100, was it 100, 100 to 2, maybe up to about 700 megs of Vcache from a 1 gigabyte Vcache video card. It would only go up to like 700 megabytes, and then it would start using the system. Now, once that happens, once it starts using the system memory, that's where the bottleneck begins. Okay, that's where everybody doesn't understand why this bottlenecks and everything else. But what it is the card goes up to its valued max, and then it's looking for more memory. So now it's borrowing from your system memory. And once it starts borrowing from your system memory, that's when the bottlenecking starts coming about. So if you're borrowing 200 megabytes, 300, 400 megabytes, if you're, let's say you're borrowing like maybe 2 gigabytes of your memory of your computer, and your Vcache is up to 700 megabytes, that's 1.7 gigabytes. But the bottleneck starts with the fact of it's borrowing from your random access memory on your PC. Now, that's the thing. Once it starts borrowing from that, that's when the bottlenecking starts. People kind of forget and tend not to tell you that's where it starts. Once it starts borrowing from your system memory, that's when it bottlenecks. Is because your system memory is flip-flopping, going back and forth and being utilized by the rest of the system. So with all that utilization, it slows it down. The graphics start to get slower and slower because your system prioritizes itself on the system, using the RAM for the system and not for the video card. Now, I brought this up before, that if they decide to put on the, and this might be something too, that if they put a couple extra slots on the motherboard just for Vcache, let's say you want a discrete graphics card with 1 gigabyte of VRAM. Okay, what if the motherboard manufacturers decided to put 2 extra slots so you can put extra VRAM in those slots? Instead of getting 1 to 2, you can get up to 16 and 24 and 32 right off of the motherboard, shared with the video card only and not the regular system memory. Now, if you do something like that, that might be innovative. That might be real innovative to the people that want to get more Vcache RAM out of their graphics card. Something to think about. I threw the idea out there, so we'll see what happens from there. But anyway, there are things that I have experimented with over the years. You know, there's a lot of things in this world that you can still do to be innovative. But you're giving me the, and truthfully, I can compare this. I want to try this to get a 1660 Super and compare it against the A770 8 gigabytes. So basically, you have either the 1660 Super here or you have the 580. The 580's got 8 gigabytes of Vcache RAM. The A770 8 gigabytes has 8 gigabytes of Vcache RAM. Okay, now they both will do close to the 2100 mark, but you can get that card for $87 on AliExpress, the 580. So if you're going to sell a $200 to $300 card when you can get one for $85 from somewhere else, do the math. If you're looking to save money and you want to do a light gaming, the 580 would be the best way to go. Now, unless you want like the 1660 Super, that's even better, because that's like $149 if you buy it overseas. That's if you buy it overseas, because if you buy it here, even on eBay, you're looking between, for a 1660 Super, you're looking between $200 and $300. If you buy it overseas, in China, just to say, you're looking at about maybe $120, $140. But the difference is you got a shorter wait time here than you do over there. They'll give you between 50 and 75 days until you receive the product, which would be equal up to maybe about 2.5 months, compared to waiting here about 3 to 5 to 7 days on eBay. So you can do your math there. I can tell you Amazon prices, forget it, because them and Newegg, they'll charge you out the yazoo. Okay, you'll spend more thinking you're getting a new card, which you're not. I can tell you that much right now. But if you want to spend $300 for 16 gigs of Vcache for an Intel that might not work with your system, pick and choose how you want to buy. The only reason I'm not going to buy that card is for the fact of I haven't seen it perform. I don't get the performance on it. But I know with Intel graphics, they've always been like laptop graphics. So basically, you have a GPU that they're selling you with laptop graphics. Basically. Because that's what they specialize in. They haven't really specialized in the actual discrete graphics card yet. This is like their first line compared to like AMD and Nvidia, but I'd be willing, if the prices came down on the graphics card for Intel, I would probably be most likely able to buy one. See, I'm thinking myself as the consumer guy, the one that only can afford so much. I'm not thinking of myself as the guy that can afford any graphics card out there and it doesn't matter. See, that's not the thing that I'm trying to interject here. I'm the kind of guy that has a YouTube channel that only can afford what he can afford. And that's barely minimal to none. Okay, I'm not, like these guys out here that have millions of stockpiles and stuff. I have no stockpile. I have nothing to work with. All I have to work with is my knowledge. Okay, I don't have stacks of motherboards and everything else. No, I don't have stacks of video cards neither. I don't have anything. I'm basically going on the information that's out here, trying to tell you about it and my thoughts about it. Okay, now when I do get more product to review, then I can bring you live reviews on that product. I can't bring it to you if I don't have it. And I'm not going to lie to you if it's good or not. I'm going by the information that the companies are telling me until I get products sent to me for review. Until then, I can give you what I can give. An honest review, what I think of in my mind here, what I went through in the past from day one to now. So my reviews hopefully are going to help that consumer guy, the one that's trying to save money, the one that's trying to get a great system and save money. And you know what? That's what I did. I got a system right here for less than $400. With the case, with the fans, with everything. $400. And guess what? I keep hitting this microphone, I'm going to throw it across the room. But no, I'm not going to do that because that's the only microphone I got right now. But anyway. And yes, look. I want to show you my microphone. See this right here? This is the only microphone I'm using right now. Just to let you know that. You go buy what you can afford. And back then, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, that's what we were using. And guess what? I'm still using it right here. So anyway, like and subscribe, and we'll try to bring you more news. Y'all have a wonderful day, and this is JJ, your boy. We will see you again on the next one. So do enjoy.